For over 40 years, I was saying one simple thing, that the official dietary advice was wrong. Not slightly wrong, not needs adjustment wrong, but fundamentally wrong at the biological level. And now, without apology, without big headlines, the very institutions that actually shape modern nutritional policy are changing their position. The food pyramid, the foundation of modern dietary advice, has been revised, restructured, and also in many ways abandoned. And today I want to explain what changed, why it changed, why it took so long, and most importantly, what it means to your health, your metabolism, and your training. For the ones who are new to my channel, I'm Dr. Neš Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I competed 46 times and won 17 titles. I have been in bodybuilding for over 40 years. And during that time, I have personally coached over 3,500 clients and helped them to get in the best shape of their lives. I have also published 11 ebooks for you, which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. So if you want to widen your horizons and deepen your knowledge, simply click on the link in the comments and you can access my ebooks. So what the original food pyramid really was. Officially introduced by United States Department of Agriculture in 1992 as a food guide pyramid, this food pyramid was actually heavily relying on promoting grains and carbohydrates. They were at the bottom of the pyramid, as you all know, and fat was placed on the top. It was very dangerous, apparently. And this is the pyramid that most of the people remember. What is important to say that in 1977, US Senate issued dietary goals for United States. And this was the diet basically based on very low fat, high carbohydrates ideology. And this is where the story really began. The pyramid introduced in 1992 was essentially the visual enforcements of these ideas. So let's go back. The original food pyramid told people to base their diet mainly on bread, rice, pasta, cereals, basically carbohydrates, and also advised 6 to 11 servings per day. So this diet demonized fat. Red meat was seen as very dangerous and discouraged. Eggs were limited, and butter was replaced with seed oils. When it comes to protein, obviously meat, fish, eggs, protein was secondary, and fat was seen as very dangerous. So what about carbohydrates? They are seen as the healthiest macronutrients, and basically they were seen as the foundation of human diet. This wasn't just a suggestion, it became a policy in schools, hospitals, military, and also public health campaigns. Entire generations were raised on this model, and almost immediately we saw something strange. So after the food pyramid became mainstream, there were dramatic changes. Basically, health deteriorated for most of the people in the United States and globally in the countries which follow this pyramid. So number one, obesity simply skyrocketed. Type 2 diabetes increased dramatically as well. Also, metabolic syndrome became something which was seen as normal. Fatty liver disease happened to people who didn't even drink. And hunger increased, not decreased. So people were eating more, but they were getting fatter, hungrier, more inflamed, and less metabolically flexible. And yet the response wasn't that maybe something is wrong. The response was actually that people are eating too much, people don't exercise enough, and they are not following the guidelines properly. So you probably all remember going to the GP or asking for nutritional advice, and they will always say to you, oh, 60-70% of your diet should be high carbohydrate. Obviously, carbohydrates from grains and fruits and this and that. Then 20% from protein and 10% of fat, because fat is very dangerous for you. And this basically pushed so many people into obesity, into type 2 diabetes, and everything else that is actually caused by hyperproduction of insulin. That food pyramid simply failed biologically. The problem wasn't in calories, the problem was in hormones, because High carbohydrate diet chronically elevates insulin, suppresses fat oxidation, increases fat storage, and causes constant hunger signals. Insulin is not evil, but chronically elevated insulin is pathological and is very dangerous. And I've said that in so many videos, not only relating to bodybuilding and fat loss and getting in shape, but more importantly to overall health. When insulin is high, first of all, you block fat burning because insulin is incompatible with the hormone required for fat burning, which is actually glucagon. So once insulin is high, you won't burn any body fat. Also, you disrupt appetite regulation because insulin directly regulates hormones like leptin and ghrelin and upset that normal regulation because once it's high, your blood sugar goes down and you're going to be hungry quickly. And this is why you will have to eat 6, 7, up to 11 times a day as US Food Administration originally introduced as an advice according to food pyramid. And another very important factor as a consequence of high insulin is that you downregulate your metabolic flexibility. So simply, fat was blamed, but fat does not increase insulin. So if insulin is the problem, why are you blaming fat? So something that causes increased insulin should have been blamed. But instead, no. Fat was demonized and also protein was seen as secondary and it was restricted. And protein is the one that is actually structural and satiating. So when you don't eat enough protein and you eat too much carbohydrates in every meal, of course that your insulin will go through the roof and then it will drop and then you will be hungry within 2-3 hours and you will have to eat all day long. So carbohydrates were promoted and they are actually the main drivers of insulin. Now, decades later, the language has changed. So the food pyramid is gone now, and it's been replaced by models that basically de-emphasize refined carbohydrates, focus on protein adequacy, acknowledging fat quality, and talking about metabolic health. So it's not that the change of heart has played the role, and the governments all of a sudden become brave, but it's simply that the data become impossible to ignore. I mean, everywhere you look, everybody who knows anything about nutrition will tell you the same thing. Lower or eliminate carbohydrates altogether. Emphasize protein, fat, in some occasions, salads and vegetables, but carbohydrates generally have to stay low. There are so many different diets. I talked about all of them. And all these good, healthy diets have one thing in common, and this is low carbohydrate intake. So this data, which was so transparent and overwhelming globally, simply could not be ignored. People are getting fatter, people are getting sicker, and that had to be addressed. Finally, the food pyramid as we knew it has gone. So why it took so long to change that pyramid that was so wrong? What are the reasons for that? So the nutrition policy was never just science. It was economics, it was agriculture, it was industry, and it was politics. Grains are cheap, shelf stable, and easily subsidized. Grain industry is one of the biggest industries in the world, and obviously they influenced many nutritionists, many opinions, news, and the grains for decades dominated as the main source of carbohydrates. But in reality, some people always knew that this pyramid was wrong and that the carbohydrates are actually not good for you. Bodybuilders, for example, knew it from 60s. So when bodybuilding started evolving from 60s, the best bodybuilders in the world didn't eat carbohydrates. They mainly relied on meat, eggs, fish, chicken, sometimes protein shake, and no carbohydrates at all. I spoke about that in so many videos. Golden era legends like Sergio Oliva, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Serge Nubret, Frank Zane, obviously Vince Gironda is the guru, iron guru, who promoted meat and egg diet. They were all training and getting in shape without carbohydrates. So they knew that something was wrong with those carbohydrates. They maybe didn't know this scientifically as we know now, but by trial and error, they obviously realized that eating more protein and fat and less carbohydrates, your body will function better, you will feel better, you will be healthier, you will be building more muscle and burning more body fat. So this is nothing new. It simply wasn't official. So people who train seriously understood that instinctively, and they knew that carbohydrates are a tool, not a base. Protein is non-negotiable. Fat supports hormones and satiety. And also, they didn't eat every 2 hours. They ate every 4 or 5 hours. So that long gap between the meals was another thing that allowed the body to produce less insulin, more growth hormone, to continually be in autophagy. I mean, the health benefits were simply phenomenal. So that diet that I have been talking about in many of my videos, diet that is made of 2 to 3 meals a day, is so superior, not only for muscle growth, but also for your overall metabolic health and long term. Obviously, as I said, some knew it, but it wasn't official. Overwhelming majority of population simply follow the guidelines. And they ended up, unfortunately, obese, overweight, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, etc., etc. I personally never committed to that diet. I knew instinctively from the very beginning that that diet was wrong. So although I was exposed to that diet, thanks to guidelines, official guidelines, and also heavy-duty guru Mike Mentzer, who advocated 60 to 70% of carbohydrates in your diet, well, I wasn't in good shape. I was constantly overweight, and I didn't feel 100% well. So once I changed the diet, and once I started following the golden era legends practices, I started changing dramatically. The fat was simply melting away from my body. I was so energized. I was never hungry. I ate 3 times a day. I had reasonably big meals, but then I have good 4 or 5 hours gaps between the meals. And then I started training clients, which I've been doing over 40 years now. And these principles are always applied to all of my clients. And every single one responds fantastically. Everybody who changes their diets and starts following my guidance starts changing immediately, not in months, in days, in weeks. People experience great feeling of well-being. They start losing body fat immediately, and they start changing their appearance immediately. So that prompted me to write a book in 2010 called The Ultimate Nutrition. And in this book, in 2010, right, so 16 years ago, I have outlined all the principles of healthy diet that you can follow. And that's for life, not just for occasion, not just for a few years of bodybuilding career, but also for life, for best health. So my book, The Ultimate Nutrition, sold within few months on Amazon. I was also in America. I gave a big talk in Los Angeles in Anaheim Conference Center in 2012. And my book, The Ultimate Nutrition, sold. I had about 500-600 of that book, apart from other books, and they sold within 15 minutes. So 5,000 people attended that talk, and the books simply disappeared within half an hour. And the one that everybody wanted was The Ultimate Nutrition. You can go on Amazon, you can read the testimonials of people from all around the world, and you see how people benefited then in 2010, 11, 12. Unfortunately, that book is only available on my website now as an ebook, but I still have maybe less than a dozen copies left of a paperback, which is available on my website. So if you want to have a paperback, you can go on my website and order it. They are found under the section Collector's Edition. So I was spreading this advice, which is now official. Long time ago, I was talking about it 40 years ago, and I wrote a book on that subject, again, The Ultimate Nutrition, that simply disagreed with everything that official guidelines were, and I proposed a completely different approach. This is something that now is becoming official, and I think it's very good, and I hope that it won't stop, and that people will start slowly shifting towards high protein, medium fat, low carbohydrate diets. So what this all means to you today, What should you do now? You should ask yourself, what stabilizes my energy? Which food can I eat to have a constant, stable energy throughout the day? Then you should ask yourselves, what controls my hunger? Which food can I eat not to feel hungry all the time? Also, ask yourself what improves your recovery. What is the food that will make you recover faster after your workouts? And also, ask yourself what food will improve my body composition, meaning what type of diet will allow me to develop muscle mass and burn fat at the same time. For most people, the answer is following. Your diet should be high in protein, high quality animal protein, eggs, meat, fish, chicken. For some people who can digest, obviously, cheese, cottage cheese, sometimes also protein shakes. Also, adequate natural fats. Fats are not evil. Fats are absolutely necessary. You need saturated fats to build hormones. You need cholesterol to build testosterone. Testosterone is made of cholesterol. You don't need cholesterol, you don't need saturated fats, your testosterone levels will be low. So many people came to me with low testosterone. Once they changed their diet, testosterone went through the roof. Also, you need to eat less carbohydrates, not just the fast carbohydrates, but all type of carbohydrates, because they're all refined. Less, or in some cases, no carbohydrates at all. Another very important answer for you is it's better to eat fewer meals than more frequent meals. Eating medium to large size meals 2 to 3 times per day will allow your body to absorb amino acids better without any spikes and crashes of amino acids. It will allow you longer time between the meals, which means you will produce less insulin and more growth hormone, and you will be absorbing all of this food. Nothing will go to waste. This type of diet that I have just mentioned, high protein, medium fat, low carbohydrates, fewer meals per day, will allow you for more metabolic flexibility. So this is not a dogma, this is not extremes, it's simply biology. The food pyramid wasn't just a diagram, it changed people's lives, it shaped how they eat, thought, and blame themselves. And now quietly is being dismantled. No apology, no accountability. But remember this, truth does not need permission. Some of us were talking about this 40 years ago, and biology hasn't changed, only narrative has. So guys, let me remind you once again that I have published 11 ebooks for you, which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything that you always wanted to know about bodybuilding. If you're interested in eating healthy, I have published few books on nutrition. And if you want to finally start burning body fat and build muscle, expand your knowledge, simply click on the link in the comments and you can access my ebooks. I would also like you to watch this video in which I introduce my other services, and these are the ways in which I can help you personally one-to-one to get in the best shape of your life, to lose body fat and increase muscle mass and start living healthier lives. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, share the video, send me your comments, and until the next video, I wish you all the best.